Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to draw up your own chart. Pull up your internet browser and then go to astro.com. There are a lot of different options you can use for drawing up your chart. Astro is just my favorite. Now on the menu bar here, hover over free horoscopes, then go down to drawings and calculations and then select extended chart selection. It's going to bring you to the screen here, giving you the option to either continue as a guest or create your own profile. I highly recommend creating your own profile. However, if you do that when it's all said and done, it's going to redirect you to a different screen. So go back to free horoscope, extended chart selection to come join us. But for now, we're going to continue as a guest. So just click here to go to the data entry page. It's going to give you this form here. Fill out your information, your birthday, name, gender, or if you're an event, that's fine too. Hour. If you don't know what time you were born, you're going to miss out on a lot astrology has to offer. You're not going to be able to get any of the housing systems done unless you use like a solar house system, which is I do sometimes. So if you set your time for sunrise that day, that would work. But you can just select unknown for now, or your actual birth time. The exact time is preferred. The farther you away from the exact time, the less accurate your chart will be. And then the place you are born, and then select it from the drop down box. Luckily for me, it's only one, Snellville, Georgia. And then continue. From here, it will bring you to this screen where you have lots of options to change the chart and add asteroids if you want to, fix stars, change the zodiac system, the house system, different kinds of charts, lots of options. But for now, we're just going to click here to show the chart. So that brings us to here, which is our chart. So congratulations, you have now drawn up your own chart. What all this means, though, that's another story, because this looks like gibberish to a lot of people, and that's okay. To get started, you have to know the planets, and I highly recommend, if you haven't already, Googling, YouTubing, reading a book, researching, whatever, however you want to, about each of the planets right here and what they mean. What does the sun mean in astrology? What does Venus mean? Saturn, Jupiter, Mars. They all represent different components of who you are, and most people only know their sun sign, but we actually have a sign for every planet. So we have a part of us that can be described through astrology through every planet. Now here you'll have a list of your placements for each sign. So you can see, or each planet. So Venus, I have Capricorn. Jupiter, I have Sagittarius. My sun is Pisces, moon, Sagittarius. You'll see some numbers at the beginning and end. These are the degrees. They're not as important right now, but each sign has 30 degrees. So you'll have each placement somewhere between 0 and 29, and then the zodiac sign. The back end is the minutes and seconds, which really aren't that important. And then you'll have little R's next to any planet that was retrograde when you were born. Basically, you're just born during a retrograde period. If you are familiar with Mercury retrograde, or Mars retrograde, Venus retrograde, Neptune retrograde, whatever, planets go retrograde from time to time, and if you're born during that period, it will show it through here. After you researched your planets, I recommend researching your placements. So Mercury in Aquarius, Uranus in Capricorn, Jupiter, Sagittarius. Just research and figure out what those mean. Or you can just research the signs on their own. Like if you see I have several Capricorn placements, so it would benefit me to research Capricorn. I have several Sagittarius, so same thing for Sagittarius. You can just kind of dive in and research what you have and then build those pieces together. Now you'll also notice they have next to each of the planets these little symbols. These symbols are what corresponds with the circle chart up here. So here, this is where you also can read your chart and your planet's placements. And I prefer this chart over the table, and as you get more familiar with it all, this is kind of where you'll start reading it from. Now you have the zodiac symbols up here from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, all the way Leo, Capricorn to Pisces. So those are the zodiac symbols. If you don't know them already, I highly recommend learning them. I will put a video in the link of a really good video that I've found that helps you learn the symbols of the zodiac and the planets. It's really helpful, beneficial, and makes things click. So don't be afraid to try to learn those out. But then you have these symbols here, which are the planets. So like this right here was the sun, if you remember. In the blue tick, it goes into Pisces. So my sun is in Pisces, which we knew from that table. So you can kind of practice and, confirm and test yourself through that. Jupiter here, line Sagittarius. Venus, which is a little bit confusing because there's not a line directly. Look to the next line. It's in Capricorn. If you'll see, there's 3 planets here trying to fit into this house, and there's not a lot of rooms because they're all so close. So they kind of splur out. So it's Venus, my Neptune, and then Uranus. So that's how you break down the planets. Very basic, very simple. Now the houses, it's a lot more confusing, I think, to understand them from this right here. This is where you can read the houses through the table. Basically, the houses 1 through 6 have an equal opposite house, and the opposite house will be in the opposite zodiac sign in the same degree. So if you see here, my ascendant, my first house, my rising sign is at 10 Cancer. My descendant, 7th house, will be at 10 Capricorn. Now, you can also go up here to additional tables and it'll open up another tab. And over here, you can look at your houses in an easier way until you read the circle chart. So you'll see these. Now, I see Descendant, MC, Ascendant, that's the 1st, 4th, 7th, 10th house. It's kind of self-explanatory though if you just look at the numbers. They go in order. So you can see here, like I have the 2nd house, it's in Leo. My 3rd house is also in Leo. My Ascendant, my IC, my 4th house is in Virgo. Pretty self-explanatory, but that way you don't have to know your opposites if you're not there yet. So back over here to the circle chart. To figure out the houses, basically this horizontal bold line represents the horizon at your birth. So the ascendant, the 1st house, this point right here, was what was rising at the time of your birth in the east. So Cancer was on the horizon, rising at the time of my birth. Over here on the opposite end is what was setting in the west. So I have Capricorn setting in the west. This is where they have the opposites because it's on the same line. You'll also see this upper vertical line going from the highest to the lowest part of your chart. It might not be completely vertical just depending on where you're born, but it theoretically runs vertical through your chart. The top of it is the very top of the sky at the moment of your birth, and the bottom of it was directly below you at your moment of birth. So someone born at sunrise will have their sun right here. Someone, because it was rising, someone was born at sunset would have their sun here where it shows the setting energy. Someone born at midnight, the dead of night, would have their sun here, and someone born during the day at noon would have their sun here. Pretty interesting way to break down the chart and see it that way. But so to break down the other houses, you start with the 1st house line here, and you go counterclockwise. So from here we go down to this line. That's all the 1st house. So my 1st house is in Cancer, and this is my 1st house. I have no planets in my 1st house. And that's completely normal, by the way. If you have no planets in a house, don't worry, don't fret. Just go off of what sign your house starts in. You'll notice I do have a little bit of Leo, though, in this house. My 1st house is still Cancer. I just have a little bit of Leo in there as well. Now the 2nd house, it does start in Leo, so I have a 2nd house in Leo. And it goes from here to this point. And you'll see I have Mars retrograde in Leo in my 2nd house. I have a 2nd house Mars. From there you go to this line. This is all your 3rd house. And you'll have the numbers here too. The numbers are going to be in the pie piece that it represents. So the 3rd house, I have no planets. 4th house, I have Chiron right on my 4th house. Vesp and Virgo. 5th house starts here. This is all the 5th house. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. pretty self-explanatory once you get the hang of it. It does take a minute though to train your eyes to see things that way. If you want to go from the planet first, so say what house is my Pluto in, just figure out what number is also in the same pie piece as it, and it's in that house. So Pluto is in my 5th house. Now if you have a placement like this on the cusp, typically people interpret it as the planet from the house, the higher number house. However, if it's a little bit in this, like if my Chiron was like 2 degrees over, you can say it's the 3rd house Chiron conjunct the 4th house. So it's up to you on how you want to break that down. Of course, this table will have it broken down for you, so you can just go off of that, or you can kind of discern for yourself what feels right for you. Okay, so then aspects. Again, there's a table here to look at aspects. I think it's a little bit confusing, especially at first. So to start off with aspects, this is why it's important to learn the symbols and the planet signs, because the houses and the aspects are easier to read up here than the table. So the table's great for just getting started, but after that, you'll want to move up here. Now, blue aspects are considered harmonious aspects. Red aspects are considered harsh aspects. An aspect basically just an angle between 2 planets in astrology. So you have conjunctions, which are when 2 planets are in the exact same point in the sky. So I have they're shown by a little red line between 2 planets that are next to each other. So you see my Saturn and my Sun. This is a wide conjunction, but this conjunction, see the little red line. This is considered harsh. I don't think it's that harsh. You just have to find balance. And then right here, these are all conjunct. That's conjunct the Moon and Jupiter. So that's a conjunction. Opposition is going to be opposite parts of the chart, and you'll have this red line that runs through the center here. For these, again, it's considered a harsh aspect. I just think find balance and you'll be fine. It's going to be, so yeah, shown straight line. And then squares are going to be red lines that are not conjunctions, not the short little lines, and not running through the circle. So this is a square, and a square is considered a harsher aspect between the planets. And you can see here my Saturn is square my Jupiter, my Pluto, square my Sun. Pretty basic there. The long blue lines are considered trines. These are considered harmonious aspects, and they tend to flow well. So you can see I have my Moon and Jupiter are both trine my Mars. And then you have the shorter blue lines. These are what known as sextiles, and they are easy aspects like trines, but they do require a little bit more energy and effort to kind of make things work. So you can see here I have my Mercury trine my Jupiter, and then my Mercury sextile Jupiter, and Uranus sextile Pluto. So those are the sextiles right there. Trines, pretty basic, pretty simple. Those are your basic aspects. There are black and green dashed lines. Those are minor aspects, and I think they're beneficial to dive in once you get the basics done, but for now we're just focusing on the basics. And you can see these again in this chart here. This chart will be repeated over here on this, which is not really that helpful to read, but that's going to be the same thing on this end. But to read it, basically, you see the symbols that are over here are also over here. So you're going to say, my Sun. What aspects does my Sun make? So you go down. The Sun makes a square. Squares are squares. It's kind of obvious there. Which if you Google astrology aspects, it will give you pictures and names of each of the astrology aspect symbols. It will give you pictures and names of each aspect, so you can kind of learn to be familiar with those. So yeah, my Sun is square my Jupiter. And then if you go down more, you see this little line. This is a conjunction, a circle with a line coming out of it. It shows they are in the exact same part of the sky. So my Sun is conjunct my Saturn. Then we have another square with Pluto. And then the triangle represents a trine. So triangle. So my Sun is trine my North Node. Your North Node, Chiron, Ascendant, and MC are not going to have aspects drawn in the chart unless you specifically select for that on the other page where I showed you we had all the options. So for now, just come down here to see if there's any aspects to those placements. Now you also have the sextile, which is this little thing right here. So you can see my Mercury is sextile. My Jupiter looks like a star. And for like Mars too, you go down to it's trine my Jupiter, but you can also go across. So it's opposite Mercury, which opposite looks like a little Q-tip, 2 circles on the opposite end of a line, and which makes the conjunction make sense, I think, too. And then trine my Moon. So pretty basic. If you don't have an aspect between planets, that's okay, but this kind of shows you the basic aspects. And that is how you break down and read and interpret an astrology chart. To interpret it more in depth, I highly recommend just Googling your placements, Googling what it means to have a sun in the 9th house, a sun in Pisces, sun conjunct Saturn, sun square Pluto, sun square Jupiter, Mercury opposite Mars, those kind of things. Just Googling Mars 2nd house, reading about them, see what they mean, learning about the houses, learning about the aspects, and learning about the planets. And once you get a basis for knowledge and everything, just piece it together. So like we know the 1st house rules your identity. I have it in Cancer, and Cancer is very nurturing and private and homey. So I'm a homebody, I'm very nurturing everyone I meet, and that's kind of my identity. And how I kind of meet people in the world. So that's kind of how you break things down. It's really easy once you just get the hang of it, but it takes a while to get the hang of it. So don't be discouraged or anything. If you do have any questions, please let me know. Leave a comment or send me a message on my Facebook page. It's facebook.com/knowyourvibesastrology. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And if you are interested in a reading because all this just looks like gibberish to you, that's fine too. You can also just message me on that Facebook page for booking, or you can email me at knowyourvibes@yahoo.com, which I will include that email address in the description. I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and I hope this helped, and I will talk to you guys later.